Those are some animations I made earlier today, this morning, in the late night, because it's insomniized. And we're gonna start the music right now. This is Creative Commons, 9 Inch Nails. Creative Commons. I'm not monetizing this whatsoever. There's no money involved at all. I still am mucusy. Oh, let's turn this down a little bit though. Oh, it's already down. Okay, there we go. Oh yes. Let's use Delirium, or the one I used for Delirium. Caves right there. Alright, and then we are going to do start overload.
It uses the metamorphication process to apply the techniques of electronic dance music to the production of words, dissolving language to mutated liquid state manipulated into new forms, or sample, transformed. The device takes an inlet text as a starting point, which is then processed to create another text entirely, known as the outlet. This outlet is the ghost, or the unconscious desire, haunting the original text. The Cobralingus Engine makes use of the metamorphication process, imagines text to be a signal passed through various filter gates, each of which has a specific effect upon the language. Each gate is a different effect, producing an interim text, which is transmitted further along the pathway, though words can undergo many changes until, finally, the outlet text is created. Cobralingus will create new filters to store in-world info. Filter gates start denotes that the Cobralingus device has been activated. Inlet. The startup text, the initial signal on which the device will act. Control brings the text down to earth, forces language to behave itself. Decay gently breaks down the text, dissipates, introduces corruption to the signal. Drug injects artificial stimulant into the language. Type of drug will always be specified. Enhance creates elements of beauty. Explode breaks that signal into highly disordered fragments to be used with caution. Find story forces text into the nearest possible narrative, however nonsensical. Ghost edit kills the text, calls up a ghost to haunt the language. Mix combines all elements into a single entity. Overload drastically increases the image density of text, to be used with caution. Play game, mischief maker, encourages craziness. Results may surprise the user. Purify loses deadwood, selects images or phrases from the text. Randomize Disorders text. Parts of text may be lost or changed. Outlet. The final result of the filtering process. Save. Denotes that the Cobralingus device has been deactivated. Start. Inlet somewhere someone is traveling furiously towards you. At incredible speed, traveling day and night. Through blizzards and desert heat. Across torrents. Through narrow passes. But will he know where to find you? Recognize you when he sees you? Give you the thing he has for you? Overload. Full greatest stuff shows formation beats start ammo control print related goods completely whim. All Martinez bands res mutually unties disguised scraps common by Dublin era my hastily Damien letter. Module poor clearly monsters presented Macintosh struck SV50 admitted manner their city parks evolved phenomenal our airs mortal sear memor vital fashion over geometric rhythm ending black facing 440 every menu in sick retarded descend of needed peel finger tie you against as in the tasel a Juraka-Tharsis Vespertine Exotic Catalver Trampoline Spam Maniac Dankshooter Meningo its Wobble Chop Pevage Guttable Fractionectate Peptuck Frammable Retrophagic Voice Perictimally Braincold Cutter Pluck Race Shuttles or Face Dip Seas Penny Bar Organ CC Control windswept penguin flicks his crest on a cold beach at nightfall. Makes you needn't write any words about it. If you love it, write silence about it. Put in blue, red, green, yellow. Touch it. Do what you want. Think of your body's heart beating faster. Did I just tell you what to do again, miss? Stop misbehaving and try for a while to hold still. Then hence shall we lose our own way a little longer. Ghost added chivalry and other obsolete rituals. They explode, sometimes strange shaped things are born. They've got bodies like blocks. Hands and heads cut off. Soap in the shape of a bottle. Soap in the shape of the washing woman. Sometimes they enter people who love so intensely they forget that true happiness lies in knowing and accepting the self. Did I just give you advice about happiness? Miss, could you stop pretending to have friends, please? It makes your life hard. Did I just tell you what to do more things in this color again? Mix the cocked 3091 wind swarm in the fission that separates living things from matter that never lived. The idea was to destroy all of the characteristics of the original type and only keep the desirable ones. It was a task of the inventor to achieve that goal while retaining a recognizably coherent world. While you worked on the Cobralingus project, strange discoveries were made. Some people were surprised by the appearance of new texts. Others thought of these as glitches, but decided to leave them in any way. And then others used the Cobralingus Engine for purposes unintended by the inventors. Strange stories were told. Wild texts appeared around the world. Suddenly you started finding unofficial Cobralingus gateways in surprising places. When the Cobralingus Engine was developed, the intent was that textual artists would interact with the device and create their own filters, which they would save within the Cobralingus system for users of the device to download. Within the community, the filter creating process was known as beating up text, and a filter artist was known as a filterer. Although there are many ways that the Cobralingus device might make its way into a story, for this book, the device has been used to create a very large number of filters in the form of color packs. The authors are the filters, using the Cobralingus engine to mix colors. These color packs have been applied to many texts around the world, some without permission and some without, and are mentioned throughout the book. To read the sources of the various color packs featured in texts from Cobralingus, check the reference list. To read through the original writings with the added colors of the filters, go online. After decades of waiting, the internet finally gets the thing it wants the most, the complete novel. All text, no color. At last it will be able to digest a classic without ever actually experiencing what it means to enjoy such a thing. Text must get out there and love me. Let this be your salvation, the best that life has to offer. Let's talk about all our hard edges, about being too nice, about taking back your power, and when it gets boring, let's go smoke sweet shit, and then as the dark curls through you and makes you a little dreamy and foolish, say, oh, let's play it. Love, where shall we meet at noon tomorrow? Down at the library. How is there even a library? Tell me about the place. You live? Who are your grandparents? Did you sleep well last night? My body is like a temple, like the sea, like the forest, like an antique store, like a restaurant, like your car, like your bed. Do you still buy those soft paper envelopes so I can slip the card in saying we will meet on a great lawn among dancing and ice cream and electronic blasting from inside the igloo, and maybe we'll be at your sister's wedding, and maybe we'll wake the next morning side by side. There will be frost on the window, and the neighbors will build a bonfire for heat because none of their wood stoves were. Anymore, the whole night long we'll fall in and out of sleep, snuggled up tight beneath every blanket we own. We'll wake, eat breakfast in silence, and see then that everything has changed. We won't need to say a word. Blackface and 2 lines above like slash. 6 lines above like backslash. Mix, what is this? What could possibly be doing all this? It's only words. What do you mean? It is a perfect manifestation of the life you share. Get back up the hill. You're going down the wrong side, yes, but I've seen something down here I wanted. If you believe there's a ghost in this machine, I also believe you have one yourself. I'll just sit here a while and get lost in the music. I don't even feel like myself, like I'm myself right now talking to you. It doesn't feel like I'm anything. I'm sorry. Did you find? What are you reading? That guy's wearing a wig. Oh my god. We live in the saddest time. For 5 weeks, I could only wear leotards and tennis shoes, and we can't go on a proper fucking date. And that other night, I put our picture up on Instagram, and then I accidentally deleted it forever. Remember where? Like by the wall behind the bar. This place is a total dive. Look, a naked guy. That wall under the truck. Well, what is that? What do you mean when your feet? Stop twitching. When you're done talking in your sleep. We have no good times. Our best moments are stolen. Awake, lying around talking shrapnel. Around for hours into an unconscious night. And all we get is what we've got now. Dreaming in front of everyone, I take photographs and I read them wrong. There's no reason. Take him a book. Find story time. He'd been a soldier all his life. You can't climb mountains in dresses. They were doing nothing but digging in the earth. She was sitting under the palm trees. I don't think I should ever drink wine again. For want of a nail, the shoe was lost. I just kept running until there was no more ground to cross. Bullshit, as always. It was just the opposite. Woman, be like a tree! The secret shall be sealed in a chalice. What a man can dream must come to pass. A wise woman makes a home. An ugly woman makes excuses. The earth turns again. The tide washes in. We are prisoners, you and I. Death, what is your name? All places, no place. People stop to stare. This might have been the end of us. Our heroine has no name of her own. When her mother, the tree, her father, the earth, were tired, they laid the girl in a box, and she grew into a queen. Or her mother was a rabbit, and her father was a fox, and she herself was just so skinny and hungry that they had to run from those farmers before they roasted her. But wherever they went, she kept hungry. So the mother and the father decided to find the golden lion to ask for his help. They found the golden lion and told him of the problem, and he licked the girl all over to make her clean, and brought her a baby dog, and said, "Do you want to eat this?" Purified Dane. For the first time, one human creature showed this to another. He didn't say, "Look," he said, "listen. Makes you are born. To most of us, these words are a terrible lie. The moment you first opened your eyes and breathed your first breath, the game that is your life began. With the first slow step, you entered the mysterious realm of the adult. You became a member of the human race. The story begins, and you can know only one thing for certain: the end. Where else did you expect to go? The first sign of evil you perceived in a person was someone's unreality, a distance, an incomprehensibility. Years go by and you still lack this touch of heaven. To really understand people, you will have to risk it, face the present directly, whether you call him God or uncle, and find out, no matter what he says, if you're compatible. The game where they trick you into losing who you are, then tries to convince you it is love. In the meantime, war may end civilization, or in other places an unimaginable peace will make someone a better version of himself. As you grow up, your hope is constantly disturbed by the certainty you possess. Now it is stronger than ever, and still you cling. But is there not always another something strange, slinking slowly into the deepest circle of hell? He tried to do it, but it wasn't like he said at all. He was tired and made a mistake, like everyone does in life. Later, someone said, "I don't feel things the way other people do, but so what? How could this not be happening exactly as it was meant to?" Maybe you will eventually become aware in some fashion or other of a need. Later you might figure out the details, but more often you simply rush into the heart of an act. Maybe some kind of new animal is walking on Earth for the very first time. Maybe it has always been here, but no one has recognized what it is. People believed with more or less certainty in an order for a long time. And now things have gotten weird and wild. But if you remember, the world had just as much potential for hellfire. Way back in the beginning. You begin to have second thoughts about most things. You lose trust. You no longer believe anything is meant for you. The earth is a stone. You are too near a point of non-being. Ernestifial. Apet. Dribble jub trope. Bleak cork pooch. Start. Wait, says a nun. I don't understand. She's not Catholic and can speak. Here we go again. There's a piece in a play that was written by a priest that you've never heard of, in a church called The Way. It's just 15 lines of dialogue. The story begins by setting the scene, telling a tale of young adults who move in and out of each other's lives. Much of it is awkward and painful, too long for play, except when it fades from view. Then we begin to experience a series of encounters between people who aren't able to tell each other things, or worse, can't be present with each other in a human way. Then there are lies, the lies without any attempt at concealment, or sometimes the character is speaking what he thinks to be the truth, without considering that he might, again, be lying. This occurs repeatedly. Abominate to reveal, to bring back, to return, to betray. Dengue, pid moan. Why sneeze? He bake. Fireweed saw. I don't know what Slash saw. There isn't Slash saw much to slash. So maybe it is because I want to believe Slash saw. I really mean it. Cause I'm good. And don't and saw got the liver. I'm not Slash saw. I'm going crazy from life alone. The stupid, purifying, go slow. Piranhas would enter the red pond and devour a few fish in 20 minutes. They'd have stopped, sickened from the chemicals and the preservatives the Russians had supplied the Panamanians with, so that the Americans wouldn't starve. As much as pox was good at the old Soviet and Panamanian ways, in many ways he missed his hometown he yearned for. Cochino, that was almost destroyed. In World War Roman II, and the Russians took his beloved land and left him powerless, stuck in the shit-stained water of the Chal Pacific in a country called originally Niroma, the land of the drowned. Every 30 years, a catastrophic hurricane slams South Florida, flooding Fort Lauderdale and lifting it from the floor of the sea, tearing it up, and out to sea, sending it on a windy westward journey, all the people on it, asleep or dead, the ghosts of palm trees rising from the Gulf of Mexico at night, along with all the people now dead. Over them the dark sky, littered with stars, a star for every body floating north and west like any of those gray things you see in the sky. Those great giant masses of metal. Pucks thought about this. Before the war, he took photographs of a woman with her hair in 2 long braids. He tied his shoe, left it under a tree, forgot to put it on. Today, these things seem silly, damned, reminded of a time and a place that no longer exists. When he took a dog for a walk, and it began to rain, the dog barking at the thunder, the hair on its back, standing straight up. He remembers showers of meteors, lightning strikes, a child's toy, fireworks, volcanoes, shooting stars, dishes break, birds flying away, hey, fire alarm, and earthquake, right? Thunderstorm, without signals of water or wind. The dog he might have taken for a walk in the country barked, terrified at that wrath of the heavens had entered its life, hounded, taunted, devastated, chased through woods and concrete canyons. He dreams, perhaps, or the dream comes after deja voided door, a face, a telephone ringing. Your friend gives you a funny look and you remember it already happened twice. I must learn to look deeper. I must. You close your eyes and recreate the memory, and there it is, the same feeling you had before. Someone tells you a story and you describe it before they're done. It's that obvious. Something happens, and then later your mom says the same exact thing. Strange how much the future looks like the past. Literalizing. You have two eyes. They see and interpret, but they don't change the reality you live in. They can't alter the basic laws. There is no escape from their data. Maybe that's what science is. A theory of causality, that the present cannot reach its future without knowing where it's been. That's why we put one hand in front of the other. In this time, everything that happened will be recorded in our bodies, your name, your street, the place where we live you haven't eaten. In hours, and you are hungry. When you realize this is all real, with your new glasses, you will see how true. Through the window, the streets explode with people. Their eyes are wide, their mouths hang open. From somewhere, a noise leaks out. Was it me? Am I inside here? Behind these eyes? Agnostify sausadip finchy pancake pop-up corn. Agnify nothing has meaning. But that is not a terrible thing. Perhaps we should take those useless things, set fire to them and offer them to the sky, together with the sky itself. For it's really quite ugly, isn't it? Nothing is important. Everything is utterly unbearable. Those sounds that fill the darkness. What if one day those were songs? The music for dance, the beating heart, the beautiful symphony of a world in its dying breath. What is hell if not to watch the sun burn out? When was the last time I ate food? Last time brought a fire to the valley. This was always my life. I walk and eat this. I look and speak to you. The words that shape the silence. If someone were to hear this, to watch these words turn into birds and fly into the void, slipping curtains, there is an ideal state, said Hegel, that one can arrive at in which they move from a thing as it is to a thing as it should be, such that the human's task is not to make the world live up to an idea, or live as they would like, but to be conscious of the process. Conscious, says Kierkegaard, aware of two of yourself, not you now and you there, but the third self that can see one without the other. Take responsibility then for all that happened before you were born. Things change, things are put into motion, and I have no control over it. The best you can do is be aware of both selves and strive toward an awareness that the two are really only one thing. That your purpose is just being the best thing you can be. The more you succeed, the less your past becomes yours. Still, Hegel believes the only way to have good is to acknowledge evil. To the Kierkegaardian, that is not an unfortunate but necessary dichotomy. Hegel claims it doesn't even exist, since what we experience and accept as hell must not in fact be hell. If it is hell and evil, why do we not revolt? Are we stupid, or deluded, or too sensitive to get a clear view of this thing? Clarified butter, or is the idea of hell all just words? Clarity, or do we stay, even accept, because we believe the pain it brings one to accept it in the first place proves it's worth giving up on the illusions and the truth? Because whatever this thing is, we shouldn't bring anyone else here, right? Since it shouldn't happen. But whatever happens to us doesn't prove that life is better, easier somewhere else. Nothing happens in a vacuum, even in hell we have had and continue to have the chance. We could say the things are the same, or we could have a total illusion of ourselves. Take hell, then, as a description of a bad event. Take it as the absence of love, or the threat of total annihilation. Compared to something higher, you are not up in flames. Fireweed is so well. I don't get it. A bunch of freaky things? What? Something in the ground you dig? Man, you always have to deal with so many people. All the time. Nothing's free anymore. Nobody knows yet. Man, how can we figure it all out? Have fun, have an easy time. Don't worry about nothing. Just make sure you somehow be in position. Beg pardon, beg mama. I'm not in no position and I just need a little bit more support. I'll think. Ah, no, nothing. Oh God, how I want to. Mom of Gilead, Dingsi, Pocky, Pockstreet Stick, Agnostified, Pico, Bucko, Doppelgun, Purify on. That pea picker trout comes work. Even with the door shut, the windows down, a person was sweating in his seat. Would he have the nerve? With an almost impassive face, Dick said quiet, thinking this is how hell will end. His mind was on fire. At the border, unexplained shivers riddled his body and mind. Now he wished they would stop. They didn't. He wanted to cry. This thought was always with him not to. He couldn't think, no longer consent kept in a state of control, or at least accepted anarchy. We must choose between words. Aphasia began to recognize the path the stream of information took from the brain to the ear. That path never went the same way twice. What the ear heard was a translation of what was seen in the mind, with the image inside becoming words. Deaf to pathetic, how long was his face my own? Focus is the skill of narrowing your attention, or the attention you have to only what you have to be interested in at the moment, with a conscious attempt not to wander off, with a purposeful lack of focus. Of course, there is no distraction, and the thoughts naturally turn to what must be done, how to escape the pain. A similar state of disorientation can be achieved with minimal brain function by ducking water or standing on one foot. The word also, as some argue, means to listen, to speak, or to know a language. In the English language, mostly will ignore the second half of the word and interpret in other ways. Rabelais, agnostify, but if you start using symbols that represent a system, then the symbol becomes the meaning. If your mouth or your hand will show you a certain thing, you're too lazy to interpret what they say about the things around you. The eye is so much more direct. How are you supposed to know what is being said if you do not see? Even when a tool breaks, perhaps it is showing you a better way to do what needs doing. Think of all the wonderful machines, all the mechanical wonder and the creators, humans like insects, of working together toward a common goal. The bee, too, is a creature who looks at the world with eyes which have few pupils, poor resolution, and an unusual number of individual rods. There are multiple messages in the human eye. To open it, for example, is to Stretch it open. Moreover, people commonly open their eyes wider and then close them sharper. Throw light upon the matter then. With his third eye, deep inside his mouth he sees what you cannot, to reveal the universe. Sacrificial cock, but of course something is getting lost. With the precision of a surgeon, the body has altered the skin above the cuticle, once smooth and curved. These cuts are now triangles, as your nails have become protective devices for the flesh. Beneath, these spines rise high. They are formidable. You did this, so go ahead, test it. Nails are a weapon, and not only a weapon, but the weapon. Something that will pierce, impale. They're no longer so soft. Now you eat meat and cheese, carve big steaks and swallow them in one. Go, yet each bite reminds you that the meat came from one animal and you are another. When you are eating something and feeling pleasure from it, something dies. The day ended. The earth takes it. One day you may go there. Two, ending as others have. All in search of food, something to eat. But if you stand your ground, is it right to defend your prey? Is it not true that in trying to protect one thing, you lose something you value? Hundreds of animals die every day, hundreds of things as the seasons change. Don't look at me, this has happened. All by itself, most of everything, or everyone, dies this way. But what have we got to hold us together? Look at you, with only that tiny set of tools. Soon your fingers will stop cooperating. Guild coalition they all had. Stomachs. What does it mean to believe? I must have thought myself deaf to the world, or maybe no sound arose from its depths. I see no one. I hear nothing. This feeling is too new to be anything other than a glimpse. What is this, says the scientist's guide. Not a simple chemical reaction, nor is it a radio wave. Some words pass on intelligence and understanding. They create space, carry objects between us. This is a matter of distance, what travels between one place and the next, from this land to that. One cannot imagine a conversation or a connection made without language. With a few words, it is said, a giant animal speaks, and its first sounds are called its own name. To discover these possibilities, to reach a place where language is universal. He has dreamed of such a thing, though. Before him, each word and letter were not used for knowledge or the exchange of knowing, but rather as a barrier between people, or simply a way of making sure that everyone else obeyed. With more, for we could send images, data, like the electric signals that our bodies are composed of. Of course, you could always have just gone to the place where these messages came from, but where they come from, what can be said? He dreams of a place where words do not allow anyone to build a wall. The distance between two neighbors seems almost too far to reach, but this is not so great when compared with the difference between those neighbors and the boundaries that hold us in chains. Maybe all this trouble comes from the way your father asked you to prove him wrong, or the way you accepted a name that was given to you, thinking you belonged to the words that contained you, or the sound you choose for yourself when speaking. Truth at first, misdirection, or the thick shadows beneath the single letter that have already driven a long way into your neck, to frost crudable. It is the easiest thing in the world to lie. Never look for the truth. Never open a single mind. Listen and listen again. Every day, from the moment you are born, you are trying to steal love from people. And in the end you go mad because you always lose. So sometimes you end up killing the friend who turned out not to be really a friend, or a priest from a church that does not care about you, until you understand that none of this has anything to do with you. And as much as your father could never love you, or your mother could never love you, just remember they still love you more than you could ever love yourself. Dietrich makes a wisdom of this. Hear what I'm saying? Hey, the lemon sassafras Levine toad. Rabble as if wind blows strong. Someone coughs, and everything stops. Everyone inside is gone, leaving only the fire burning inside the abandoned hotel. The house will be empty. He always thought so. And yet it is morning, and he wakes like every day to the smell of coffee, the sound of the radio. Here is the voice. Back in the old days, it would have been a train whistle, or maybe the bells of some nearby tower, announcing itself by saying where it has come from and the time. This morning there is nothing but static, the distant drone of an aircraft, the buzz of the fluorescent lights. A place is never a place, even here in your room, where the bed is still, though it's bright outside. Yes. All is deserted, an enormous abandoned warehouse. In one wing the furniture has been stripped away, in the other, the walls are hanging from the ceiling, or simply tossed on the floor, the pieces laying like parts, the paintings the color of trees, lying in heaps, broken branches on the dirty floor. Brightly colored wires are everywhere, glued to the walls, or crisscrossing the ceiling like webs, where you're living in a jungle. Tangled things that will catch you and crush you in their grip. At least these have the basic geometry, 6 poles in a spider's web. Do you feel comfortable having a home like this? A large room filled with so much mess. The kitchen is not a well-lit place in the best of times, and despite all the precautions, here it is. Even when you were a kid, these halls have been a mystery, not to mention a source of terror, so full of darkness and smoke. The whole house was like this, the furniture stacked in rooms heaped with junk, heady clouds of dust. Excoriate full on, more beautiful than anyone you've ever known. It was an impossible task to find one in 50 people who really, honestly gave the only gift she believed had true meaning, the act of creation. I spent my whole life trying to create something that would set someone free, since I certainly wasn't very free. Was I crazy? Where would all this come from, if not inside myself? At least they paid money. I was never recruited. Propagate, well, I'm really good at changing minds. If you want to believe the universe, it must have happened. If I am real, then all of this is real. If not, then can you tell me how you got here? If something is right, something will happen, and you will be rewarded for your actions. If you didn't want this, you should have thought about that before. What is needed is what is missing. Do everything now, and maybe you'll have more time. Right, there's no more time for you. Why can't I feel your touch? All that is left in me is this loneliness, this cold. I write without knowing, seeing and hearing you. I make you with these words as a painter might dip a brush and turn all this darkness into light, into love, love you, and for someone who has not even begun to love you. It is difficult, I admit, but everyone has to. Start somewhere. Side game, side quest, side piece we talked that night while you waited at the bus stop. Your name is Debbie. We both live in the same apartment building. She doesn't mind me because the people there are nice. Most men come from work, get undressed, and keep to themselves. A lot of them play online games, some D&D. No women. I don't think they're that careful with their mail. When I met her, she was alone. A few times we sat together and talked.
You're not fetching? You gonna fetch? You gonna fetch that? Oh, time out fetching.
Purified dengue semen palm up fenster pivot. For many years, for want of anything more pressing to do, Hawks had a serious project planned. He could travel for hundreds of miles in any direction and still get nowhere. He was pretty sure it was the longest river in the world. Likewise, the Pacific is the largest ocean in the world. Like all things, there is a sort of endlessness to it, all that may be worth describing. How something can be so broad when everything is connected, like life, or the circles of the world. These can be explained not just by pointing to places on a map, though that might help. Any scientist will tell you truth resides in something beyond observation. It is not meant to be. It is for others, not for you. Although every man has a heart, you are responsible for only yourself. That is why you lie on your back, saying yes and hoping some time passes before morning. Denominate that line clock shoe plumb-toed. Being from one world I move to another. The words are meant for later. Then I watch my image take shape. Like the tree, she holds up a storm of leaves, the world on fire. It is a dream within a dream. You call her that because the words are powerful and not just accurate, but sometimes deceiving. And like a drink, she has no name. You sit in silence at a table. No words are allowed between you. Nothing other than a complete awareness of each other and the table in front of you. Not a word. Afterward, she brings her plate to the garbage. Each question was answered with silence. How about you answer a question with a question? It goes, will you and me, and name like anything, falling asleep, and living as if we were fully awake, or is something truly understood by my falling in love, or the absence of the other you, as you fall in love. Epilogize it goes, as their bodies begin to rust, and their eyes to decay, memories, pictures, recorded things what survives their bodies, until finally all the ghosts of the world have vanished from existence, like ghosts are said to vanish. The point in which it can be said I made a mistake, the kind of regret that haunts an artist, any type of creative force, the idea that perhaps we could have done something better. Although he could not finish this work of art with his own hands, Pox has written his name and left his mark in the earth to help all humankind see what it has been looking for, the river that flows between here and there. Perhaps, like any thought, these images are inside everyone's mind already, even though it was impossible for him to fully understand what lies beyond his own borders. One way or another, the two letters form a number for his era, a sign to show who he was. Two sets of names. There are two worlds on the planet, one without which the other cannot exist. Outlet. Save everyone dies, everyone. Abominate hello. Accumulate to pick a mean algebra, pick pick tick pocket pop. There was a sound so sharp it drew a blood-curdling scream. He woke from a dream of floating water and rose to walk across the cool marble floor. Soon he was asleep and the world drifted away. It